We're excited to have Heidi MacVittie joining us today. Welcome, Heidi. To get us started, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
So, hey, yeah, I'm Dr. Heidi MacVittie. I'm an OBGYN and I live in New Hampshire. So I've been working as an OBGYN for about 25 years and, did all the medical stuff, right? Chair of the department, yada, 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 director of women's health, you know the drill. And in COVID, when COVID was going on, my husband ended up being diagnosed in May of 2020 with glioblastoma. In an odd way, it was fortunate for me that COVID was going on because at the time, instead of being able to see patients in the clinic, I was doing it all from home on the computer. So I was able to be with him, post-op recovery, chemo, radiation, which was a blessing. It also meant, since I was working at home, that I was on the computer a lot more, and I got to see things like Zero to Freedom and sign up for it and learn. So what ended up happening is after my husband passed away, I ended up retiring. And I have to tell you, a lot of the reason I was able to do that is what I learned in your course. So like I said, revolutionary for me.
Awesome. So tell us, what was it about real estate that interested you?
You know what? My husband was a contractor, he's a general contractor. And so his thing was always a real estate, real estate, real estate. We need to get into this. And every time we did, we got burned. So, the 2008 crash, I took like a 10% hit on the house when I had to move and from Wisconsin to here. And so my experience with it had not been positive, but also 30 years of hearing my husband say, we need to get into real estate, I could remodel, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, so I saw your ad on there, the Zero to Freedom cash flowing rentals. And I'm like, oh, can that really be a thing? I can actually figure out how to invest my money and get money back every month. Is this real? And so somehow or other, it never occurred to me that I could do that I just sort of thought as a black hole, you put money in and you own another property. And now you have property taxes over there and a renter calling you about their toilet. And I never made it further. So your cash flowing rental thing really resonated with me. And so that's why I decided to sign up for it. I was like, well, let's see what I learn,
And how do you choose your market?
Well, you guys have a great list, different criteria. And one of them was, of course, traveling there. And so we were down to Florida probably 3 or 4 times a year. We're Disney people. So we were down there relatively frequently. And I'm like, oh, well, I could probably go down there. And it's a growing community. It's a thriving economy down there. There's a lot of different industries in the area. And so my first properties are actually in Tampa. So, and I just thought that would be a great way to go to start out. Now, ironically, I only went down and saw the properties once. So,
well, a lot of people listening to this who are completely new to real estate would be pretty freaked out, investing from New Hampshire down to Florida. Can you tell us how you kind of overcame some of those limiting beliefs or objections that maybe you had in your mind as well?
It was listening to you guys again. So you would talk about how you could do this. It's no big deal. You can just work with your agent. You can get pictures. You can do videos. And I'm like, oh, okay. So this is a thing. I don't have to fly down and look at it in person. I can actually look at the listing online and the pictures and make an offer. And it just never occurred to me that was even a possibility. And so this is exactly what I did. I found a investor agent that I was really comfortable with. We started sharing MLS back and forth, and I found 2 right off the bat. Probably it was during Zero to Freedom, but I found 2 right off the bat. And I made an offer on both of them, sight unseen, based on the MLS. My agent hadn't seen it, nothing. And so, yeah, we went for it. But I think the fact that when you write those contracts, you're able to put in the clauses that you can step back and say, okay, bad plan. So that gave me the freedom to make those offers. Does that make sense? That's why I felt comfortable.
Yeah, you felt like you had a backup plan. And for people completely new to real estate, what you don't realize is it's not like buying a primary residence where you go in, you put in the offer, it gets accepted, and most of the time you go through and buy it. A lot of times us real estate investors will put in an offer, we haven't seen the property at all. You know, we do
Right.
inspection, we go through negotiations, we don't end up buying the property. That happens really frequently, and there's a way out, and all you've lost is that inspection fees.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I looked at it like, oh, it's a live and learn. So yeah, so that was, and just seeing those examples of what you guys were doing and what other people were doing made me comfortable that, okay, I'm not stuck just because I made an offer, you know? So that's what we did. So we made the offer, did the inspections. My real estate agent went for the inspections and he FaceTimed me. So we went through the inspections together, and then I'd get the report, and then the negotiations began. So it was good. It was but seeing what you guys are doing, it gave me the confidence to go for it. So
Tell us about those negotiations, because I understand that you got some haircuts.
oh yeah. So I don't know, things were very, very competitive then, and still are, I guess, but they were very, very competitive. So I always came in with a full price offer. And and you guys teach us, get the inspection and then start your negotiations. Well, the inspection says, so I was. So the first property, I think I got $10,000 off this, and the other, and okay, so this is the first time that I put in 2 offers on 2 duplexes that were actually, these were just a few blocks from each other as well. And it was the same owner for both of them. So I was negotiating with the same guy on both of them. I think one was 10, one was 15, but I wanted another 5,000 off of one property because there was a little bit of termite damage on an outdoor shed. And he wouldn't go for it. And I was like, okay, well, never mind then. I'll just buy the one. And now I look back at it as, what was I thinking? I lost $100,000. That property is now worth $100K more than my offer. So always keep that in mind. Is the 5K really worth it? So that was another live and learn on me. So yeah, so I got 10 off on one, 15 off, and then we got 2 more in Orlando. I did the same thing, same agent. He covered both markets for me. And I got 2 duplexes there, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Both of them went through. And on one of them, I got, once again, full price. And these, it was even more competitive at that time. So I put in full price cash offers on those 2 properties. And I was able to get off 30,000 on one and 45,000 on the other. And once again, based on the inspection. Based on the inspections, it's like one of them needed a new roof. I needed to do some exterior work. There was some plumbing damage, that kind of thing. Yeah, so that one, and then I got another one out here. Actually, it's here in New Hampshire. It's another duplex, and that one I purchased it 215. I think they were asking about 300,000, maybe a little over, and I got it for 215. Once again, it was a full cash offer. We went in and negotiated, found foundation issues. There was some bucks to get off, right? And so I had a contractor come out and give me a quote. How much is this going to cost to fix the foundation? And then you go from there. So on that one, I needed some foundation work and some siding work. There was some water damage on the siding. So it was like going to be re-sided. It needed a new foundation, and the interiors had to be gutted. So, I mean, I got some money off. It was good. It was good. So
just listening to you, you got a lot of properties pretty quickly. So yeah, so let's talk about that. How did you think through that? Did you ever get nervous about it, and how did you think through these big repairs, having not necessarily, had a whole lot of experience with investment properties before?
Right. I think my husband was a contractor. So I had a very good idea of what to listen for. When I looked at those inspection reports, when I listened to what the agent was saying, and I had a handle on what I needed to bring in, and so who I needed to talk to get good quotes. And so I could get good numbers, and I spoke the language to some degree. You know, I wasn't contracting myself, but so I was more comfortable with the idea of like, let's gut the place, you know, that kind of thing. It's like, I've done that before in my own personal residence. So I had an idea of what that was. And I think that that really, really helped because that kind of work didn't scare me. So it was like, it was all about just get the numbers. Do they work? Do the numbers still work? And if they don't, how much do you need off to make the number work? I was always shooting, I know you guys, you know, say 10%. It was a very competitive market. So I was going for like 7 or 8%. And so some of the stuff, you know, as far as hidden value was a lot of it was rental. So it's like my first purchase there, the one out in Tampa, they were only charging $500 a month for rent for 15 years. I'm getting $1,300 now.
Wow.
Wow.
All I did was paint, well, I did remodel. I mean, there's a bathroom and a kitchen, paint, LPV on the floor, and I painted the exterior. But I mean, that's what I did. I dropped, how much did I spend on that one? I think $20,000 on the renovation. And I'm making $1,300 per side. You know, and I have to tell you, the fact that I did it so quickly replaced 70% of my clinical income.
In a year?
I did that in maybe 2 years, probably a little under. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, so about 70% was replaced. And now that I've purchased this other business, it's fully replaced. So, but yeah, it's been insane, an insane trip. And yeah, thank you.
Were you largely doing this then by yourself in the middle of your husband's treatment? And how did you balance all the stuff going on with your life with all of this? Because a lot of people get nervous about the amount of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. Trying to balance it out. Interestingly enough, because of all the COVID stuff, medicine itself, my full-time job, had backed down. And so I just wasn't as busy as I was as far as my actual job because everything was online now. And then I was at home with him. And so if he was asleep or something, I could be watching one of your videos. I could be looking through the listings. I could be texting my agent, you know, between seeing patients and stuff. And I wasn't seeing the crazy amount you normally would if you're in the office. So it was a lighter load. And so in a lot of ways that helped. And, you know, with my husband here sick, the kids ended up moving back in too. So I had more help at home as a result. So with my husband while he was ill. But you find that balance and you know, a lot of it is, it's, you just schedule it, right? If it's not on the calendar, it doesn't happen.
That's right.
I've heard that somewhere.
What do your kids think of all this?
They've thought of nuts forever, so it's fine. It's like their crazy mother, you know, what's she doing now? They're good with it. They love it. Actually, my oldest one, he's 27 and he is now a real estate agent here in New Hampshire. And while he's doing that, that's sort of his side gig, he also manages, he's an assistant general manager for 3 different bars in the area. So both of my kids they learned to, well, they're kids of a doctor, so they're used to seeing people really, really busy all the time and working a lot. And so that's exactly what they do. So they picked up my bad habit. So
Now you mentioned negotiation. I wanted to go back to that because as you were talking about the negotiations you've been able to get for every property, I was adding it up in my head, and I added it up to over 6 figures in discounts that you got off of
yeah.
properties. So, like, was negotiation something that you've have a lot of experience with before, or?
No, I mean, no, it never even occurred to me. Never even occurred. If somebody tells me a price, I'm like, okay. Even buying a car, I mean, you're supposed to negotiate for that. And I'm like, and if the sales guy goes, whoa, that's really as low as we can go. And I'm like, okay, and I'd sign, you know, I mean, but no, it just wasn't a thing. But, listening to you guys talk about it, and it seemed reasonable, right? I wasn't walking in and saying, your house is worth crap. I am not paying this. I'm saying, oh, I will give you everything you want. And then you get that inspection report and you go, oh, I didn't know the foundation was bad. Oh my gosh, you have termites. Or I just found out you need a new electrical box. I got to get that fixed. It seems like a reasonable thing. It doesn't seem like I'm trying to take them for a ride, or I'm not. I'm just saying, look, I didn't know this. What can we do about it? And so that, to me, that seemed very, very reasonable and doable. Does that make sense? That was
It does. Yeah. And I wanted to
I-
emphasize for people watching this who've never purchased a property before that it's very learnable, right? It's very doable,
yeah.
and you can, and that is one of the ways to really get that immediate appreciation. Get that when we say buy it right, that's what we mean by that. So
Yeah.
And what's also cool, oh, sorry. What's also cool is these properties weren't super expensive, right? These were properties, but you were getting up to 30% off of some of these properties. So
Yeah.
can you talk to us about, the types of properties you were looking at and what kind of things you were looking for? What kind of patterns were you seeing?
What I was looking for duplexes. I didn't want to do single family homes, and part of it was, I wanted to make sure that one side could pay the mortgage. So once I got read, I know that the mortgage is taken care of. I don't have to worry about that. I'm not taking a loss on it. So the only time I'm going to have both of them empty is during the remodel, right? So that's really what we were looking at. And it didn't have to do it that way. You didn't have to tell both of them to move out. You could do one side at a time. So it was totally up to me how I approached that. So I wanted to look at duplexes, and I felt like that was a good way to start. But rather than single family homes. I also wanted to concentrate on working class neighborhoods. And that was a two-parter. One of them is simply that population it's going to be harder for them to move in, save money, move out. So they're more likely to stay on my property for years. So I'll have less turnover. That was my mind, what I was thinking was happening. Um, and those neighborhoods, some of them are, what can I do to improve it, right? Bring up the property values in those neighborhoods, give somebody a place that they're happy to live in. And so that was that other piece for me. Classy neighborhoods, that kind of stuff, that's great, but they probably have the income, save up, go buy their own house. That's probably where they are, is in a transition period, and they're used to the nice stuff. So I'm not doing them any favors. I'm just giving them a place to live. Does that make sense? But so to me, it was like a two-parter. It felt like I was doing some good, and I had stability, so less turnover costs. So
now I heard you mention that you bought these properties in cash. Did you do something called delayed financing or a cash out refi after you purchased the property?
remember I said I retired? Yeah. They like W-2 income. So actually I still own them in cash. So I still have a lot of cash in them. So I would imagine I'll be able to do that. Well, I probably could now, but I'm going to wait a little bit just for the rates to come down before I start doing that. But yeah, I could do that now, because obviously I've proven that they're stable. It's over 6 months. So I'll be able to refinance it just based on that. But originally, you want that 6 months, that kind of stuff. And they just wanted a W-2. And I'm like, I just retired, man. I can't even give you a paycheck stub, So that was an interesting experience. I'm like, well, maybe that wasn't the smartest move I've ever made, but it's working out. So I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize there's a lot of different ways to invest, and some people, if you ever read the book Real Estate Millionaire by Gary Keller, he
Yeah.
features all these different stories of real estate millionaires, and some people do really like to, and I know this wasn't your plan necessarily, but some people do like to pay down the mortgage and have no mortgage, because then those properties will cash flow really well, and you can have
Yeah.
a relatively small portfolio and have a lot of cash flow coming in. You don't have to worry about things like interest rates. So I just want to emphasize that there's different ways to
Right. One
invest.
of them I did.
Yeah, and it
One of
sounds
them
like
I
in
did.
this situation, if you ever wanted to tap into equity, you could do that for another property, and you don't have to get the equity out of all the properties. You can even just pick and choose the couple that where it makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, and I think I did finance one of them after the renovation. But two, what I've got, so it was about half and half are paid off and half have a mortgage. So
Mhm.
Awesome.
yeah, it's been interesting.
And did you get real estate professional status with all these purchases then and being retired and be able to shelter
Well,
anything?
that's a really interesting question. I mean, but all my income was passive anyway, right?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Doesn't matter.
You need it. You didn't
That's
need it.
right, that's
That's
right.
right. That's really cool situation is, all the real estate income is passive. Then you got all the depreciation, it shelters it, and then you're
Mm.
really largely tax free,
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
income.
really, yeah. I mean, my only income is I am a flight doc for the Air National Guard, but I don't know that I'd call what they do a paycheck. I'm not really sure about that. So there's a little bit of W-2 from there, but I don't know if I'd count it. So, but
So
yeah.
what kind of advice would you have for somebody who wants to follow in your footsteps, watches this and sees what you did? What would you say to them?
Yeah, I just do it. If you have any interest at all in real estate, learn what you need to learn and get in there and do it. I think my big take home and why I signed up with you guys is that cash flowing thing. So you put in that money, you get in the minimum amount, you make that, you get a mortgage, and then you get a check every month. Isn't that amazing? I mean, so, and what does that mean? It means that you get choices. If you're in a W-2 job working for somebody and you are able to build other passive income stream, and I know that there's work at the beginning when you get the property and all that kind of stuff, but building up that passive income stream, knowing that money's coming in, gives you the freedom to decide whatever you need to decide. You are not trapped. I go into the National Guard, I talk to these guys, and it breaks my heart every month. They're just so burned out, they're so sad, they feel trapped, and they're telling me this. And just create that freedom for yourself, make it happen. And this is a way to do that. And not that there's other ways, but this is an amazing way. It's tried and true. And to be perfectly honest, your course tells them exactly how to make sure that they get positive cash flows. And so how can you go wrong? you know.
So Heidi, thank you so much for your time. We're going to be going in the property renovation video and looking at some of your properties that you purchased and what you did with them. And it's really exciting stuff. So hopefully everyone will stay around and definitely go check that out. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Thanks. Great to talk to you both.